Alright, so today I want to develop an opening right in front of your eyeballs and then later on test it against random chess players on Lichess. So this is one opening that you can play against everything that black does or against most of black's opening responses. And our main target is the Sicilian defense. So we start with pawn to e4 and then black plays c5. By the way, I'm also going to show you how you can do the same thing that I'm about to show you even against pawn to e5 on the first move. So say black plays pawn to c5. The moment you see this boring opening response, I would love you guys to change your strategy in an effort to take your opponent out of their comfort zone. At this point, they expect you to play knight to f3 or knight c3, the closed Sicilian, and just play some normal stuff. So what you're going to do is to go pawn to d3. Yep. Now some of you might think this is going to be the king's Indian attack. Well, there'll be a slight difference. We're going to play this in the Brazilian style. So keep this position in mind. I want to show you where I got the inspiration from. So speaking of the Brazilian opening or the so-called Gundaram defense, white usually starts with e4 and then black responds with e5. Then after knight to f3, you know what? Instead of going knight c6 on the second move, you simply surprise your opponent with a move queen e7. So the plan is you simply want to develop your d pawn and your c pawn on these two squares and then later on put your queen on c7 to free up your dark squared bishop, playing knight to f6, bishop e7, castle short, bishop g4, knight bd7, whatever you want to do. For example, one continuation may go as follows: white plays bishop c4 and then you go d6. Say pawn to d4. Taking is okay, but you can simply go h6 just to prevent knight g5, right? The thing is, if they take, you're just simply going to take back like this. If knight c3 comes, you know they want to play knight d5 next or knight b5. So the best you can do is to go knight to f6. But the standard move that I recommended in my Brazilian video was pawn to c6 just to stop knight d5. And say after castle short, this is when you can go knight to f6, a developing move. The thing is, whatever white does, you are going to have time to put your queen on c7 sooner or later and then finish up your development while ensuring that your e5 pawn is still protected. You will develop your light squared bishop and also your queen's knight, etc. In fact, I even missed something here. I think the moment you see bishop c4 by white somewhere here after you play d6, say white castle short, the best you can do is to challenge that light squared bishop like this. So at best, you just want to get rid of white's light squared bishop. I mean, if you have a chance, knight g5 is a sheer waste of time. You can just retreat your queen back to c8 or probably go queen g6 rather than going home. Anyways, so this is just about the Brazilian defense, and this is where I got the inspiration from with regards to my new elbow opening with white pieces, which you can also try even against the Sicilian defense. Now you know, instead of going queen e2, because we are up a tempo, we'll just go ahead and play c3 followed by queen c2 and start developing our pieces smoothly. And later on, you will see that knight bd2 is very important. For example, in this position, if black goes out of the book and plays d5, freestyle chess, if you want, you can just go knight bd2 and forget about Stockfish. You are not worse. Black can just easily convert the advantage which Stockfish sees in this position. The thing is, if pawn takes, you can just take back with your d pawn and then continue playing normal chess as if nothing happened. How cool is this, guys? Anyway, say after knight c6, though you still have chance to take on d5, well, you can stick to your Brazilian defense strategies now with white pieces. So you go c3, stopping knight d4 in the near future. Remember what we did with black pieces? If d takes e4, again, you can just take back with your d pawn. And then I don't even know what black should do here. The top played move is knight to f6 for some reason, but let's see. So here you can just go knight gf3, developing your pieces normally. And say black plays pawn to e5, the top played move. Well, now you can go bishop b5 if you want, or bishop c4. Bishop b5 looks more attractive. Playing in the style of the Spanish, you are threatening to capture the e5 pawn, right? So the top played move here is bishop d6 by black. after which you can simply play anything. You can castle shot if you want because you're safe, or play queen c2. This is where your queen belongs. But see just how interesting my elbow opening is, you guys. Here you can even go knight c4, attacking black's bishop one more time. I mean, two of your pieces are attacking this bishop, right? So you will see something like bishop c7 here. And if you like simplifying games, you can go ahead with simplification. The thing is, at the end of the day, you just want to win a free pawn. I don't want to go in detail. I plan to cover this opening in a separate video. But this is what I'm going to do against any random chess player on Lichess if they play the Sicilian defense. Right, but what if black plays pawn to e5 on the first move after you play e4? Let's see. So you go e4 and then black plays e5. Well, once again, you know your plan is to go d3, c3, queen c2 like you do in a Brazilian, though that looks very passive. So yeah, if you are tired of bishop c4, you can start with d3 if you want. This is just an opening stage. The thing is, if pawn to d5 is played, you want to put your queen's knight on d2 so that if pawn takes, you can just take back with your d pawn. Once again, you have this simple strategy and castle shot. Then you start playing chess. That's if you want to avoid lots of theory and just play chess. Okay, let's just say black plays knight c6 in this position. Well, you know your strategies. Whenever you see knight c6, just think of the d4 square. So just like in the Brazilian defense, this is where you want to play c3 to stop knight d4 in the near future. You know what to do if d5 comes, just knight bd2, then queen c2. So you're avoiding theory and just playing chess, right? Say knight to f6 is played, now you go knight to f3, bishop c5, just a normal move. By the way, you can even go b4 if you want, right in this position. But you know what? Bishop c5 comes with some nasty ideas of targeting the f2 pawn. So if I were you, I would play something like bishop e2 or h3 in this position. You need to calculate in advance, right? If you want to know how to calculate 3 steps in advance, watch this video that has popped up in the card above. So it is in this position where I can play bishop e2, preparing to castle shot if knight g4 is played. Again, if d5, you always have knight bd2. I mean, what are we talking about? If castle shot is played, you can even go h3 here. Literally everything that you do, you're just playing slow chess. What can they even do? By the way, h3 also stops bishop g4, not just knight g4. So let's just say bishop e6 is played, because what else? Now you can just castle shot if you want. At this point, I don't even know what black should do. You have b4 and all sorts of moves. The thing is, your queen will sit on c2 sooner or later, and don't even worry about this sack here. For example, if queen c2 and say black chooses to sacrifice his bishop, they are just dead in this position. You can just take. There's no checkmate that is going to happen due to insufficient mating material. For example, queen takes, you can just go knight h2. This other knight will come here. Yeah, I've seen people doing all sorts of things like queen g3 check, since your pawn is pinned by the bishop. But you can just, go to h1 and that's it. Next, you're just going to, continue playing normally. So this is how you also frustrate that higher rated opponent who really wants to mate you very fast. And I do advise playing like this even in classical. By the way, the best version of what I just showed you against e5 is the Giuoco Pianissimo, which goes as follows: e4, e5, and then knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, and say knight to f6, the two knights defense, attacking your pawn, so you defend it like this. And after something like bishop c5 or whatever, you simply go pawn to c3. This is the Giuoco Pianissimo, by the way. Say after pawn to d6, you simply go bishop b3, a quiet move. And also avoiding any knight f5 attacks, you can simply slide your bishop down to c2. So this time it's your bishop that sits on c2 instead of your queen. And say after castle shot, if you bought my Giuoco Pianissimo course, you will remember that I emphasized on queen e2 a lot. You don't even have to worry about bishop g4. Actually, we've been waiting for this all this time because we do not intend to castle shot anytime soon. At best, we would even love to launch a pawn storm on the king side. Anyways, I don't want to give many spoilers. If you want to learn more about this beautiful opening, you can simply go to my website www.kasperchess.com and get my Giuoco Pianissimo course. a very interesting course. You can also find it on my Patreon page, which is my membership page, by the way, and that's how you support this channel. Anyways, so enough of the talking. Why can't I play a game just to see how I can put these ideas into practice? Let's go. Right, so the game just ended, but don't worry, I'm going to include the live footage of this game towards the end so that you don't eat me alive. Anyway, let me just do a quick analysis of this game first and then show you the live footage of that game. So I started with e4, my opponent played c5, and then I played pawn to d3. Then knight f6 was played, attacking nothing. I played pawn to c3, just sticking to my plan. I don't even know what my opponent is going to do. d5 was played, and guess what I did? Instead of memorizing moves, playing knight bd2, which I recommended in my tutorial video, I simply played queen c2. The idea is still the same, just to protect my e4 pawn. After simplification, knight c6 was played, and then I played bishop g5. I could have done better, but this is still not a blunder. It's just a normal developing move. Don't think too much, you guys. h6 was played, and then I just traded on f6 like this. Then knight d2 came. Bishop e7 was played, indicating that black wants to castle short, right? It was at this point when I started thinking of castling long so that I can just finish off my opponent very quickly. But it turns out that castle long is a mistake according to Stockfish, but not according to my human opponent. So that's one good thing about these kinds of offbeat openings. It's hardly easy for your opponent to spot your mistakes because of the solid nature of your opening. So after I castled long, my opponent was supposed to play d4 and then just start opening up the position. Because he's only human, he played castle short. And then I played another tempting move since this was a bullet match. g4. Why g4? A blunder. The idea was just to open up the g file for my king's rook. I just wanted to mate my opponent as quickly as I could and go home. Bishop e2, bishop takes, and knight takes. Now my plan is very clear and black is going to regret sooner or later. d4 was played, and then I played rook at g1. Simple plan. Rook e8, rook g3, d takes c3 happened. Then I took back with my b pawn just to ensure that black doesn't have knight d4 or knight b4. Remember what I said about this c3 pawn in the Brazilian defense? Now see how the game ended. Rook c8 was played, and then I played king b1 because I didn't like the fact that black's rook on c8 was indirectly eyeing my king. Then after queen a5, I simply played knight c4, attacking that queen or buying more time on black's queen. Queen a6 was played, and then I played king a1, making sure that black has no any checks. b5 was played, attacking my knight, but I just played knight a3, want to focus my attention here. b4 was played, and now I'm getting back into the game all of a sudden. This was a blunder, by the way. I just took on g7, which was again a blunder according to Stockfish, but not a losing move. Learn the difference. And at this point, I knew my opponent was going to hangmate in one after the next move. Black played b takes c3, and guess the move that I played in this position, which made my opponent to resign instantly. The move I played was queen c1, and my opponent resigned because checkmate is now unavoidable. The plan is to go queen takes h6 and then mate black. Checkmate. So now, time for the live footage of this game. Hope you guys learned one or two things. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, otherwise I'm going to faint. Oh, no, I'm joking, but just go away and, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye bye.